Welcome to the Cross Crime Channel, the portal to the darkest corners of human history, where we meticulously dissect and analyze true crime cases from around the globe. Before we dive into today's riveting case, remember to show your support by hitting that like button, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement fuels our quest for truth. Get ready as we delve into the case of Azumi Muto. In the labyrinthine back streets of Shibuya, Tokyo, a shadow loomed over the Muto Dental Clinic. This small, unassuming family-run establishment was the lifeblood of the Muto family, a lineage of respected health professionals. Among them, the youngest heir was Azumi Muto, a woman of 20 years. Her birth date etched on the calendar as June 13, 1986. Within this prestigious clan, Azumi was joined by her two older brothers, with the youngest of the duo, Yuki Muto, standing at the age of 21. The Muto family had a tradition, one that ran deep in their veins. For generations, they had dedicated their lives to the noble cause of dentistry and healthcare. Their dream was that Azumi and her siblings would dutifully step into their shoes, ensuring the perpetuity of the family's cherished health clinic. And in the intricate tapestry of Japanese culture, the parents harbored an unspoken hope that one day the clinic would pass on to their children's children, weaving an unbroken legacy. Azumi's eldest brother, whose name remained concealed in obscurity, was the torchbearer of this legacy. He had diligently treaded the path his parents had carved, his academic excellence a source of immense pride for them. And now, the mantle was passed to Azumi and Yuki, for if they too could shine as brightly, their parents would be nothing short of euphoric. Alongside their dental practice, the Muto family possessed a trove of real estate properties available for rent, with some bestowed upon their children for management and guidance. Their affluence knew no bounds, securing their financial future for generations to come unless, of course, a dark chasm tore them asunder, severing the ties that bound their destinies. Yuki's descent into academic mediocrity cast a shadow over the once promising future envisioned by his parents. Struggling to keep pace with his classmates, they took the drastic step of enrolling him in a nearby prep school, hoping it would light the path to redemption. However, despite their efforts, Yuki found himself teetering on the precipice, unable to achieve the grades needed for university or even to secure his high school diploma. Meanwhile, Azumi's heart never beat in sync with the rhythm of dentistry, a future her parents had painstakingly laid out for her. She felt trapped beneath the weight of their expectations, a burden that many young Japanese people bore in silence. The crushing pressure to adhere to family traditions and the relentless societal demands took a toll on their mental well-being, leading some to retreat from the world, lost in the abyss of their own despair, known as hikikomori. This stifling expectation even pushed some to contemplate self-inflicted death, the ultimate escape from the shame of letting down their family. Azumi, however, was made of sterner stuff. Determined to carve her own destiny, she defied her parents' wishes. After graduating high school, she embarked on a journey of self-discovery, diving headfirst into computer programming and pursuing her dreams of becoming a model and an actress. Her resolute spirit clashed with her parents' relentless pressure, leading her to take a drastic step at the tender age of 18. She left the family home, seeking refuge from the constant disapproval and forging her path as an actress. The house that had once sheltered Azumi and Yuki felt cold and devoid of love, and the tension between siblings grew into a bitter rivalry, sowing discord within the family. During her time away, Azumi landed a role in a low-budget adaptation of the anime Cream Lemon, a film rated 15, pushing the boundaries of Japanese cinema with its audacious content. Her parents recoiled in horror, at the audacity of their daughter's career choices. As time passed, financial realities knocked on Azumi's door, forcing her reluctant return home. Her parents, driven by a strange mix of relief and happiness, reluctantly permitted her to continue her programming studies and even accommodated her modeling gigs, albeit from the confines of their home. The Muto family, despite their differences, embraced her presence. But for Yuki, the rift deepened further, casting a long shadow over their fractured household. Despite Azumi's intelligence and her successful deviation from the family's traditional path, Yuki's aspirations pointed in the opposite direction. He harbored a deep desire to pursue dentistry and, above all, to earn his parents' approval. However, the cruel irony of his struggle was that, despite his earnest intentions, he found himself unable to keep up with the demands of his chosen path. From a young age, he had been groomed to inherit the family's prestigious dental practice, a legacy that weighed heavily on his shoulders. The pressure to excel and make his parents and grandparents proud had become an unrelenting burden. Azumi, on the other hand, seemed indifferent to these familial expectations. She had thrived in carving her own destiny, marching to the beat of her own drum. While Yuki sought desperately to gain his parents' approval, Azumi appeared impervious to their judgments. This divergence in their paths fueled a growing resentment within Yuki. His disdain for his sister was palpable, and it cast a foreboding shadow over their relationship. Azumi often confided in her friends, sharing her unease about Yuki's eerie behavior. She couldn't decipher his thoughts, and the unsettling way he looked at her filled her with dread. It was as if his intentions were veiled in darkness, shrouded in malevolence. Some of Azumi's friends even speculated that Yuki's feelings toward her extended beyond the boundaries of a typical sibling relationship. These were mere conjectures, but disturbingly, they suggested that he harbored unspeakable desires. In school, Yuki was an outcast, an awkward loner who seldom ventured beyond the confines of his own bedroom. Despite his apparent detachment, the true depth of Yuki's rage remained concealed from his unsuspecting parents, a tempest ready to erupt. December the 30th, 2006, the eve of the impending New Year. Japan's unique traditions marked this occasion with visits to shrines, a gesture to pay respects and wish for prosperity in the forthcoming year. The Muto family, although separated, prepared to observe these age-old customs, while the parents and the eldest brother embarked on a journey to Fukushima to visit extended family. Azumi and Yuki remained behind. Azumi had little interest in these traditions, and Yuki, ensnared by a study camp scheduled over the New Year's break, chose to stay. However, the night before their departure, tensions within the family boiled over into a heated argument, the catalyst being the family's cherished traditions and the perceived stagnation of their life. The residue of that acrimonious confrontation lingered in the air long after the rest of the family had departed. With Azumi and Yuki left alone in the house, the simmering anger between them refused to dissipate. In a society known for its reserve, especially among women, Azumi was an exception. She bore her truths openly, often to the chagrin of those around her. She remained haunted by the previous night's argument, and now, standing at the threshold of Yuki's bedroom, she felt compelled to confront him. Her mother's support for Yuki during the altercation fueled her determination. Yuki, however, met her with disdain, expressing his shame and suggesting that she no longer belonged in the family. Azumi's fury flared, and she retorted with biting words, declaring that Yuki would never amount to anything and that his lack of ambition would leave him with nothing. Her words acted as a catalyst, igniting the volatile rage simmering within Yuki. In a frenzied fit of anger, Yuki seized a wooden Kendo sword and unleashed a torrent of blows upon Azumi's face. As she struggled to defend herself, Yuki's attacks intensified, growing faster and more brutal. The desire to silence her became an all-consuming obsession, regardless of the cost. January the 3rd, 2007, a date etched in the Muto family's memory. The New Year's holiday had run its course, and it was time for them to resume their daily lives. Yet, a disconcerting silence had enveloped their household since just before the turn of the year, leaving them with growing unease. Azumi's absence was conspicuous, her usual communication non-existent. Yuki, too, had descended into an unusual silence. As they neared their home, a foreboding apprehension weighed on their hearts. Azumi's prolonged silence had begun to gnaw at their collective psyche. Yuki had sent a message to his parents, forewarning them of a putrid odor emanating from his room, a consequence of his pet fish's untimely demise. He implored them not to enter his room until he could properly dispose of the lifeless fish. However, upon their arrival, the overpowering stench was inescapable. Mamoru, the family's grandfather, volunteered to enter Yuki's room and address the issue. What awaited him was beyond his comprehension. The lone shark fish, once thought dead, thrived in its tank. The foul odor, however, persisted, leading Mamoru's gaze to the closet. Upon opening the door, a grotesque sight emerged: stacked garbage bags, oozing a noxious odor. Bracing himself, Mamoru cut open one of the bags, revealing a horrifying tableau of flesh and copious amounts of blood. Recoiling in shock, he and the rest of the family promptly alerted the police. Tragically, the body within the bag was identified as Azumi. Suspicion weighed heavily on Yuki, prompting the family to await his return before involving the authorities. News of the grim discovery sent shockwaves through tabloid headlines, with sensationalized rumors suggesting necrophilia and cannibalism. The police, however, would later debunk these claims, although the truth would prove equally horrifying. Yuki's resolve crumbled, and he confessed to the authorities, unraveling the grisly details of his heinous act. Desperation had driven him to savagely attack Azumi with his Kendo sword, later resorting to choking her with a towel for an agonizing 3 minutes. When she inexplicably clung to life, he resorted to drowning her in the bathroom, a tragic end to her young life. Afterward, Yuki methodically cleansed the crime scene before retrieving a knife and saw from the kitchen. Returning to the bathroom, he disrobed Azumi's lifeless body and commenced the gruesome task of dismemberment. Nothing remained untouched, not even the most intimate areas. Her dismembered remains were sealed within garbage bags and dispatched into the kitchen's disposal unit. The rest of Azumi's remains were concealed in heavy-duty garbage bags, strategically placed throughout the house. Yuki's meticulous efforts left no trace of the horrifying act. After packing his bags, ready for a study camp, he committed one final chilling act, adding a pair of Azumi's panties to his belongings. He then left the house, leaving her remains undiscovered for several agonizing days. Yuki's defense embarked on a precarious journey to prove his mental incapacity, attempting to cast a shadow of doubt over his ability to comprehend the gravity of his actions or distinguish between right and wrong. A psychiatrist's examination unearthed troubling revelations: Yuki's unstable mental state during the murder of his sister, Azumi. Specialists contended that his capacity had been severely diminished leading up to the crime, and he had teetered on the precipice of criminal insanity during the grotesque act of mutilating her lifeless body. Unwaveringly, the defense argued that this diminished mental state should absolve Yuki of legal culpability. They pleaded for leniency, asserting that Yuki should not be held accountable for the horrors he had unleashed upon his family. However, the prosecution vehemently opposed this motion. They held steadfast to their belief that a deep-seated animosity and a festering well of resentment between the siblings had provided Yuki with a sinister motive to murder Azumi. Their stance was unwavering. Yuki was charged with the murder of Azumi Muto, and further accused of the heinous act of desecrating her corpse. Time marched on, a little over a year later, and in May 2008, the court delivered its judgment. Yuki Muto was declared guilty of the murder, a sentence handed down with chilling implications. Astonishingly, he received a mere 8 years in prison, acquitted of the desecration charge, under the pretext of diminished mental responsibility. This decision hung heavily in the air, despite Yuki's unsettlingly lucid account of the events leading to his heinous crime. He displayed an unnerving clarity regarding the murder, leaving no room for ambiguity about his awareness of his action. The Tokyo High Court, however, eventually recognized the stark incongruity between Yuki's actions and his purported mental instability. They amended his verdict, modifying it to reflect both the murder and desecration charges, and extended his sentence to 12 years. Throughout this trial, Yuki's parents spared no expense, securing the finest legal representation money could buy. Their actions were baffling, for they not only accepted their son's heinous deeds, but also portrayed Azumi as the antagonist in the family's tragic narrative. In a chilling twist of fate, despite the gruesome manner in which Azumi met her end within the walls of her own home, her parents chose to turn their backs on her, delivering a final devastating betrayal in the solemn confines of the courtroom. In the year 2021, Yuki Muto walked free on the streets of Tokyo once again, a stark reminder of the chilling past. He had served his time, paying a penance that paled in comparison to the horrors he had inflicted on his own family. Azumi, on the other hand, was forever lost to the world, her life cut tragically short. Within the once unified Muto family, a profound schism remained a haunting testament to Yuki's impulsive action. Ironically, Yuki's desires to adhere to family traditions had instead torn apart the very fabric of their lives. Azumi had never been willing to conform to the mold her parents had envisioned for her, refusing to walk the predetermined path of the family business. Instead, she had sought her own destiny. However, those who should have loved her unconditionally found themselves resenting her independence and dreams. In a shocking and cruel twist of fate, Azumi's positive defiance led to her untimely demise, a life extinguished within her own home by the hand of her own brother, all for daring to carve her unique path in a world steeped in tradition and expectation. The echoes of her lost potential and the horrors she endured would forever haunt the family she left behind. And thus, we conclude the resolved Azumi Muto case. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next investigation. And if you have any theories or insights about this case, share them in the comments below. Until next time, remember, the pursuit of truth never rests, and in the world of true crime, there are always more mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Stay safe.